So, we played the game before with a very strong deck that we knew that was going to be. So now we're back to see what other old school meta deck can be the Pokemon trading card game on the Game Boy Color. So we're playing this game on the Nintendo Switch emulator, and the deck that we selected this time is Damage Swap. So what is Damage Swap? Well, Damage Swap is an archetype built around Alakazam, a Stage 2 Psychic Pokemon with the ability Damage Swap. As often as you like in your turn, before you tap, you may move one damage counter from one of your Pokemon to another one, as long as you don't knock it out. So we paired Alakazam with Chansey, Kangaskhan, and the Pokemon Center trainer company. So once we built the deck, we did about 8 hours of farming, and we went straight into fighting all the gym masters. So the first one we did was Amy and the Water Gym. So it wasn't anything too crazy. At this point, we're still learning how the deck more or less runs. We're trying to figure out how the deck goes, and we're learning what the deck struggles with. And a lot of the time, it is loading up these big, beefy, normal type Pokemon, the Kangaskhan and the Chansey, and getting them ready for attacking. And Kangaskhan has a big drawback. It flips coins. So Comet Punch, we can do up to 80 damage if we get really lucky, or we can get 0 damage if we're really unlucky. As you see here, there's a really good interaction of just how lucky and unlucky we get in back-to-back turns. Turn 1, we flipped 4 tails. Turn 2, we flipped 4 heads. So we got the KO because of it. Kangaskhan took a little bit of damage, but it was one of those situations where I really wanted to show how flippy the deck's going to be, how much it's just going to struggle, and it's kind of just going to have some fun. It's going to be patient driven. And keep in mind, all these battles that we're having with these gym masters, I'm clipping down about 20 minutes worth of battles with every single one of these to show you kind of the highlights. So definitely bear with some of the choppiness. It's definitely me trying to find the fun parts and the more exciting parts of the battle, because it is a slow deck. Alakazam is a stage 2. We weren't able to get the acceleration stuff, so we had to build up slowly but surely. But we beat Amy using Kangaskhan's main factor, and we were able to get the first medal on the Water Gym, and that way we are moving on to the other gyms. Now, we're going to also see a lot of struggles with the deck, and there's going to be particular plays that we're going to point out that definitely shows off how the deck can just show off how slow it can be. Very, very different than the Haymaker deck we showed in the last video, where it was set up quick. That thing was gas. This thing is a slow turning engine, but once the engine goes, it is going. So we got their packs from Amy, we got the medal, and now it is on to the next gym for us to go. The next one is the grass gym with Nikki. So this battle was really interesting because it showed off how fun the deck can be and how frustrating the deck can be for our opponents. So she set up a Venusaur. She had Solar Beam ready to go, doing 60 damage, which at this time, let me remind everyone, that 60 damage is a lot of damage at the time. But once we received that damage, what did we do? We drew a card, and we went straight into a damage swap where we just took all that damage off the Kangaskhan and just walked on another Pokemon. We used the item finder card, which allows us to discard 2 cards from hand, to grab another trainer card from our discard pile. In this case, we picked the Pokemon Center, and we just healed off 60 off one Alakazam, 20 off another. And this is going to be a theme that you're going to see throughout the entire time. So now we have a Kangaskhan and a whole board with no damage after she just spent all this time putting damage onto us. And we are definitely just cruising. 3 out of 4. We're doing 60. We're putting pressure. We are able to put damage on without them being able to heal much. For the most part, there's maybe a battle that shows that strategy against us. But it's going to be a situation where we are just going to play what is definitely the disruption cards. We are removing energy like we just did. We are healing and doing it in bunches. And we are just kind of moving everything around to where, like, alright, you did this damage, we are going to put another Pokemon no damage on. We're going to heal all this damage. We're going to make it to where you have to one-shot us, or we will continue to just make this a very long draw. So we beat the Venusaur. After that, Nikki was kind of out of gas. She put all our eggs in one basket. We had multiple Pokemon ready to go. So we ended up going against our last Pokemon here, which is Bulbasaur. And we just switched into a Scyther that we knew was going to do a solid 30. We weren't going to worry about any variable damage for coming close this fight. And we just knocked out the last Pokemon. With no vet Pokemon left in play. Nikki gives us that Grass Metal. And we go against, after we get this, our first fight against Ronald is, for those who do not know the game, our rival. He is the one who wants to get the legendary cards before us, and he wants to utilize those cards and show that he is the greatest Pokemon card master in the world. And he is worthy of inheriting the legendary Pokemon. So, in this fight, it was very much a slow build, where we had to disrupt him. We had to get into a spot where we are just at a point where we are going to do damage. Here we have one prize left, so we just powered up a damage Chansey. Chansey's attack does do 80 damage to itself, but it does 80 damage to the opponent. And we just took the last prize, and we showed Ronald what Damage Swap has the capability of doing. But, a little bit of foreshadowing here, he will get his revenge in one of the fights we put in our fight. Next up, after Ronald, is the Science Gym. Yes, Science. So Science is a gym in this game. It is realistically the gym that focuses on the status conditions of the trading card games: sleep, poison, confusion. The Gym Master Rick, he also has a very low up deck, so he will self-destruct his Pokemon that do a whole bunch of damage to you. But the best way to go about that is to make sure he doesn't have any Pokemon self-destruct. Get them as they're coughing. Get them as they're grinding. Do hard static damage to get them to where we're able to knock them out in turns and disrupt them. So after we use Scyther to our advantage again, the free retreat, the slash for 60 when we get set up correctly, we now have 3 medals, and we are just keep on cruising on our way to getting the legendary cards. So next up is the Fire Gym, Ken. So with that, he has like half fire, half normal, which is a theme you're going to see a lot in this game. So Pokemon that can't have normal type can take in any energy, so they can go anywhere. So we had a whole bunch of damage on our board, and as you see, we are moving that damage off the Chansey, off this damage Kangaskhan with these energies, off, and just, we are going to play that Pokemon Center, and we are going to heal a lot of damage. So we healed 70 off the Alakazam, 110 off the other Chansey, and now we have a board where we have no damage on it, and we are just going to go again. So when your opponent sees that, it's in the game. Not only are we taking the last card, we just kind of showed off what that deck can do. After that fight, we are now halfway to be able to fight the Grandmasters, the ones that utilize the legendary cards, and be able to see if we can ignore it. The fifth is going to be Murray, the Psychic Gym. So Murray has Alakazam in his deck. He has Chansey in his deck. Murray pretty much knows what Damage Swap is capable of doing. So what does he do? He utilizes a very similar strategy to what we do, which is putting down Chansey and making us have to do a whole bunch of damage. Chansey has the highest HP in the game. Chansey has 120 HP. So 1 retreat cost, he can just flip-flop back and forth, forcing us to have to do a lot of damage and trying to figure out how do we get this last point. So at this point, we are just flipping coins with Kangaskhan, and we are doing the best we can on just chipping away on the health that he has. Murray does have Pokemon Center in his deck, but again, the AI for this game isn't to the caliber of maybe a high-level player. It is going to do what it can, but it isn't going to get to the point where it is going to utilize the best play every single time. The decks that the Gym Masters run are fairly optimal, but they're not completely optimal. But you see here with the Kangaskhan, we were able to put 4 heads, we were able to knock out the Chansey in 2 hits, we were very lucky with the 20 flips. And we got our 5th medal, we beat Murray, we beat Psychic Gym, and we are moving on to the one battle that truthfully showed the limitations of this deck. Ronald 2. So in this deck, in this matchup, we had probably the worst possible scenario. We lead Chansey, we really get only a whole bunch of energy, we don't get anything to really combat our opponent. Yes, we can do the damage, but there's no way to heal off this damage. And our opponent plays Fighting Pokemon. Chansey is weak to Fighting types. Chansey does receive double damage every single time it gets hit by a Fighting Pokemon, Hitmonchan especially. Hitmonchan doing 1 energy, 20 damage, which turns into 40 for us. So with this, we were just kind of trying to stall and trying to figure out, is there a way to overcome this? And really there isn't. So Ronald was able to just punch Chansey over and over again and get the 40 damage, 3 turns, KO, and we lose the match. We just didn't have a Pokemon that kind of combat Ronald. But that shows how variable the deck is, so we'll remember that going forward. Next is Gene in the Rock Gym. Yes, Rock and Fighting have the same energy. Yes, it has the same symbol. They do the same things. So with a deck that relies primarily on the normal types, we pivot to Scyther. Scyther is a great addition card here. It has free retreat, so wherever in this pinch, we can always pivot around it. But it also covers this fighting weakness really, really well, especially with the rock types that cover it. So in the fight against Gene, we are able to slash, turn 2, do a whole bunch of damage, and then just utilize slash over and over again against this grass root Pokemon. And we were able to whittle away all 6 of his Pokemon, get the last prize, get our 6th badge, and we were able to move on to the next fight. This shows that even with not having to rely on those normal types, Scizor is a great partner with this. And now it's time for us to get this on the 7th gym, which is going to be the Electric Gym. Now, the electric typing in this game, for those who do not know, electric Pokemon typically do a lot of damage with their energy, but it takes 3 to 4 energy sometimes for that to happen. So what do? We just whittle them down, we play the long game, and we sit here and we're like, alright, what do? We have a whole bunch of damage on board. Well, let's move the Pokemon without the energy. Let's heal 110 off the Chansey, 20 off the Kadabra, 10 off that Kangaskhan. Now we have no energy or no damage on the board, and now we get to reset and just have some fun with the fight. So we healed all that damage in the middle of the game, definitely put him back, and now we just have to continuously just do damage and get fight against Isaac here. We go to our last turn. We have no more cards in deck, so what do we have to do? We have to get this KO. So we powered up a Kadabra of all Pokemon. Kadabra has a 3 psychic energy attack that does 50. It is really, really good on just making sure we get any damages that we can't really do with Scyther, and we don't want to rely on the coin flips. And we got our last prize on the last turn of the game. We would not have gotten the KO, we would have lost, because we would begin the next turn with no cards in deck, which is a loss in this game. So last but not least is going to be the Fighting Gym. So in here, Scyther was the MVP. Scyther was able to just utilize its free retreat, its fairly quick attack cost in this deck, but also the most important piece is that it resists fighting. So fighting Pokemon do less damage to Cycle. So we utilize that to knock out a whole bunch of Mankeys. And Mitch was not able to set up any of his Pokemon really, to where we were just doing turns and he wasn't able to attack us because he has to do at least 40 damage and end up doing 10 to us. That resistance in the older games is phenomenal. So what did we do? Well, we brought up the Hitmonchan. We're not going to be able to one-shot the Hitmonchan. What we can do is remove its energy to where it's always 2 turns behind the damage it wants to do. So we will slash, we will disrupt it, we will slow it down. He does a potion thinking that's going to change the map. It doesn't. We still have to free-shot it. So we end up being like, okay, how and what do we do? Well, what we did was we just kept on doing the strategy. We made sure that we were getting Pokemon ready to go. We got the item finder. We discarded the cards in the hand. We really didn't need at the time because the normal types aren't going to be helpful. Mitch will do a lot of damage to them. So what do? Item finder away, energy removal, slow him down again, knowing that he doesn't have any more Pokemon he's relying on. We don't need any other Pokemon. Scyther is perfect right now. And we are just trying to get into a spot where he doesn't have any more Pokemon. So he attaches, passes, gives us the opportunity to just finish it off. There's no need to go for the shenanigans of the turns. We just get the KO, and we now have all 8 medals, which gives us the opportunity to fight and face against the legendary Grandmasters and legendary cards. I've been talking about the legend cards. What are they? Who are they? Well, it's the 3 legendary birds plus Dragonite. So we will face a master who yield all 3, and then the 4th one will have the Dragonite. And the first fight is Portland, the Moltres train. Or even Moltres Master, however you really want to put it. So against Portland, what did we do? We were able to withstand a whole bunch of damage, a whole bunch of turns. And we ended up discarding, we ended up grabbing a Pokemon Center, and we're going to heal a whole bunch of damage. Just 70 off that Alakazam, 90 off that Chansey. That's 160 damage right there. That's a lot of damage to just evaporate from the board. So yes, we were a little worried over the fire types having been to the Scyther. So what do? We rely on Chansey. Chansey's amazing. When you have this strategy behind Chansey, yes, the recoil damage is something you have to play around. But recoil damage doesn't mean anything if you're able to move it off the Chansey. So what we do with the damage swap is we do 80 damage, we take 80 damage, we move the 80 damage off to something else, and we rinse and repeat that strategy over and over and over again. So now, on this last turn of the game, yeah, we have 100 damage on Chansey. But we have a Growlithe that has less than 80 damage. Oh, so we will just move this off one Chansey onto another, as we have 2 Chanseys on the board to just kind of absorb the damage. Believe me, in real life, this would go so much quicker than just doing one at a time. You grab a handful, just like, I'm going to move these here. So we take the double edge KO, we defeat the first Grandmaster, and move one step closer to inheriting the legendary cards, improving that damage swap Alakazam can be one of the better decks and have the right to be a legendary deck. So in this matchup, second up is the Zapdos trainer, Steve. So Steve has a whole bunch of electric Pokemon. But what we talked about with electric Pokemon is that they need time to set up. They do a lot of damage. But if we set up the way we do, which we got a really good opening in this. We started a Scyther, we were able to draw grass energy off the beginning of the game draw. We were able to use Sword Dance. What Sword Dance does, it powers up Slash the next turn by 2, so usually does 30. Slash now will do 60 And it doesn't help that when he put his Zapdos into play, he did damage to himself. So later in the fight, after we kind of showed off the power of Scyther, we're going to show off the silliness of damage swap one more time. As you see, there is well over 160 damage onto that Pokemon. And he has Zapdos. Well, we're just going to heal all that damage. We just spent all that time doing this. And then we're just going to be like, alright, Double Edge, 80 damage. He has no more Pokemon left in play. We are able to overcome all the different types of Zapdos he has in his deck for us to be halfway through the Grandmasters, another step closer to the Legendary cards, and the opportunity for us to show why Damage Swap is underrated in terms of the meta, in terms of TCG. The last Grandmaster before the champion is Gentleman Jack. He is the Articuno trainer. So in this fight, we had to be a little creative with how we were doing all the damage. So here, he does 50 damage and then does 10 damage to the rest of our board. We're not worried about that small 10 damage. What we were really doing is trying to get him to be in a position where he doesn't switch. He doesn't really want to do anything. He wants to attack with that Articuno. So we kept the Scyther in play, did the 30, leaving him the 10 health, and we only have one drive, so we can take and withstand the Scyther going down after he's done a very good job of just setting up the damage and setting up the board for the rest of the fight. So he takes his second prize of the game as we're down to one remaining, so we are definitely in advantage, and that would just bring things by. Now, the biggest risk to this play was the fact that we had to rely on Kangaskhan flipping one heads out of 4. And as we saw in the Water Gym, we can definitely go 0-4 very easily and just lose the opportunity to turn that we set. But luckily enough, we got heads in the first point flip, and it was the only heads we got on the point flip. So we got very lucky, but with that, we defeated Gentleman Jack. We defeated the 3 legendary birds of the game, and now we have one final fight against the legendary Pokemon, legendary cards, and that is Ron in the Dragon deck. Now, the one thing with the Dragon deck that we can take advantage of is the fact that Dragon deck and Ron's deck has a whole bunch of weaker basics that he has to evolve into the strong dragons. So what do I mean by strong dragons? Well, I mean the Dragonite. I mean the Charizard. I mean the Gyarados. The thematic part of his deck is so great, but he needs time to set up. But we don't give him that time. Even with how slow our deck can be, Scyther can add a lot of really good pressure heads on. And once we have a Kangaskhan, once we have a Chansey set up, we're doing the 40 to 50 damage that we need to do super easily in order to put him on the back foot, in order for us to really take advantage of this. As you see, all he's doing is 10 damage to us, and we're doing damage in chunks. We just need, again, another situation where we just need one edge for the game. And at this point, we were very nervous. 3 tails. Heads on the final flip. So we got just enough for us to defeat Mon and be able to say we can inherit the cards. But unfortunately, like every Pokemon game, there's one more challenge. And that is our rival, Ronald. So Ronald was able to inherit all the cards and all the legendary cards before us. So his deck is all about the legendary cards, which is what's been his goal the entire time. So what do? Well, we do what we always do. We just move damage around. And we just play the long game to perfection. He did all that damage to us. We removed some of his energy. And guess what? We are in a spot where we're going to be doing a lot more damage, a lot more sustained damage than he's going to be able to do to us. So we remove his energy to make sure that if he has something in hand, he has to play it. We're down to one prize. We can play this longer game. We do 80 damage to ourselves. We do 80 damage to his Kangaskhan. He places down our Dratini again. He has the Dragonite, we are desperate wanting, and he just passes his turn. So what do? We want to make sure we don't get a KO. So we just move all that damage off that Chansey, knowing that our Chansey's going to survive the hit. We get the final KO. We defeat Ronald. We have the ability to say that Damage Swap is one of the best decks that earned the right to inherit the legendary Pokemon cards of Zapdos, Moltres, Articuno, and Dragonite. With the win, we go to the Hall of Fame and we receive the legendary cards. So with that, thank you everyone for joining. I greatly appreciate it. This was a fun little experiment. I had no idea this deck was so strong. I did not realize the sustainability that this deck had, the fact that you're able to just hit with very high numbers. Chansey and Kangaskhan are underrated attackers that this deck definitely was able to utilize. It is very much the opposite of Turbo deck. Like Haymaker, but it was a blast to play. So let me know what other meta decks you want me to try out. I'm definitely enjoying replaying this game over and over again, seeing the different strategies, and seeing what we're able to do and overcome the deck and overcome the game. If you like what you're seeing, please give this video a like. Please subscribe to the channel. I'm enjoying playing this game and enjoying these challenges for this game. And I hope you guys are too. Like I said, please comment in the comments. Let me know what decks you want me to try again, what archetypes you want me to try, and I will do my best to see if we can get that done for you guys. If anything else, I will see you guys later. Have a great day.